51,563,701 pounds.
It is the 1 pound that absolutely gets me.
I mean, it just keeps you up at night, doesn't it? It is hauntingly specific,
Yeah.
aggressively specific.
Yeah, proper weird.
Usually right when we sit down here to do a deep dive into the latest transfer sources, we are dealing in generalizations. We are talking 50 million plus add-ons, or in the region of 45.
Or maybe a cheeky 49 if the sporting director is really trying to squeeze a bargain out of a club that's desperate for cash.
Exactly. But this number, 51,563,701.
It's mental.
It sounds like someone at the AXA training center dropped a calculator. Or maybe they just emptied the petty cash jar onto the boardroom table to make the deal happen. It's ludicrous.
Or, and this is where we really have to start taking this seriously right from the off, it sounds like an algorithm at work.
Go on then. Because to me, mate, it just looks like a receipt from a very, very expensive grocery run.
Well, when you see a figure that precise, it rarely comes from a human negotiation over a cup of coffee. Humans like round numbers. We like zeros. We like fives. We definitely don't like 701.
No, we do not.
That number suggests one of two things, really. Possibility A is that it's a release clause triggering a really complex currency conversion, perhaps from euros or Brazilian real into pounds sterling at a very specific daily exchange rate.
Right.
Or possibility B, which is much more interesting, it is a valuation model. Liverpool's data team, and we know they are some of the absolute best in the world at this time, has crunched the numbers.
The famous Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes spreadsheet.
Spot on. They look at marketing potential, contract lengths, resale value, tactical fit, injury history, all of it. And the computer has spat out the absolute distinct value of that player to the club, down to the final pound.
So it's not a guess at all. It is a strict calculation.
Precisely. It's a statement of absolute accuracy.
Well, it feels like we are looking at the receipts from a fever dream, to be honest. But this isn't a dream. This is the exact figure that is reportedly sitting on the table for Nottingham Forest's Murillo.
A massive talent.
And today, for all of you watching, we are doing a deep dive into why Liverpool would offer exactly that amount for a 22-year-old defender, and why this might just be the most significant tactical signal we've seen from the club in months.
Smash that like button right now if you are buzzing about this potential transfer, because it is a signal that's loud and clear if you know what to listen for.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't just about boosting a player, it's about solving a literal geometric problem in the squad.
I do love it when you talk geometry. But before we get into the angles and the passing lanes and all that tactical gold, we have to talk about the context here.
We do.
Because the source material we're looking at today suggests this isn't just a leisurely stroll to the shops for the recruitment team. This is a proper smash and grab operation.
Incredibly high stakes one at that. The source lists an absolute rogues gallery of interested parties. It's terrifying, actually. The list of teams mentioned in our sources who are sniffing around or lurking is just a who's who of European football.
Read them out.
You've got Arsenal sniffing. You've got Manchester United, who, let's be honest, are always lurking in the shadows like a bad smell when a top defender becomes available.
Always.
You've got Man City keeping tabs. Chelsea probably looking for their 45th signing of the window with silly money. And even Barcelona are in the mix.
That list right there tells you something very important about the player's profile before we even discuss his actual skills on the pitch.
How so?
Well, when you have that specific collection of clubs, City, Arsenal, Barcelona, you are looking at a modern technical defender. Those clubs do not buy traditional stoppers anymore.
They buy ball players.
Exactly. But then when you add United and Chelsea to the mix, there's also a physical raw potential aspect there too. It's a really rare Venn diagram intersection to find a player who appeals to all those different philosophies. And the narrative here for Liverpool is huge. If we pull this off and bring in Murillo under the noses of basically every major rival in Europe,
it's massive.
That is, as the source puts it, a proper statement. It's a massive flex.
It creates a sense of inevitability about the club. If Liverpool can identify a target that literally everyone wants and secure him with a surgical, down-to-the-pound bid, it reinforces the idea that our recruitment team is operating on a completely different level.
It's not just about splashing the cash.
No, it's about precision and speed, getting in and out before the others even get their boots laced up.
So our mission today is to figure out the why. Why this specific lad? Why Murillo? Is he really worth 51 million and change?
That is the big question.
And what does his arrival tell us about how Liverpool actually wants to play football moving forward? Because there are some massive hints in our sources about a certain right back that we really need to unpack later on.
Oh, absolutely. The tactical domino effect of the signing is probably even more interesting than the player himself.
All right, let's start with section 1 of the sources, which focuses on the profile. We need to look at the man of the hour. Murillo, 22 years old, playing his football for Nottingham Forest.
A brilliant age to buy.
Now, if you haven't watched a lot of Forest matches, and look, no judgment here, we can't all watch every single minute of every Premier League match, you might just think of him as that sturdy lad at the back who blocks shots.
But the source paints a much more vivid picture than that.
It really does. It moves completely away from the dry stats, the tackles won or headers won stuff. It focuses on the eye test, which is crucial for a defender, in my opinion.
Data is great. We all love data. But data cannot always measure fear.
That's a belter of a line. I'm keeping that. Data cannot measure fear. And the words used in the text here are incredibly evocative.
They are.
It says he's aggressive. Quick across the turf. A proper front foot defender. And my personal favorite description, he has that South American nastiness.
Let's just pause on that for a second. Nastiness. In modern football analysis, we so often sanitize the game. We talk about dual success rate or interceptions per 90.
Yeah, it all gets very spreadsheet heavy.
Exactly. But what the source is describing here is a personality trait. It's that competitive trait that is often undervalued in this era of sterile possession-based football. We get so obsessed with pass completion rates that we forget a defender's primary job is to make the opponent absolutely miserable.
Spot on. And we aren't talking about being a dirty player here, are we? We aren't talking about two-footed tackles that get you sent off every other week, because that's just shocking stupidity.
No, definitely not.
We're talking about that snarl. The source explicitly mentions that Liverpool might be missing a bit of that edge at the moment.
Think about the current Liverpool backline. Virgil van Dijk is imperious. He's calm, he's composed and elegant. He defends by basically standing still and letting you realize you cannot beat him.
It's psychological warfare with Virgil. But it's polite. It's gentlemanly dominance.
That's a great way to put it. And then you look at Konate. Abo is a physical monster, an absolute wall of a man, but he's generally quite a clean defender.
Yeah, he doesn't leave one on you very often.
Right. Joe Gomez is versatile and steady. Jarell Quansah is incredibly elegant for his age. But do any of them have that Street Fighter energy?
Maybe Robbo on a good day, but
Yeah.
not the center halves.
Exactly. Do they have that nuisance factor where a striker looks at them in the tunnel and thinks, I really do not want to deal with this guy for 90 minutes today?
That's the nastiness. It's the constant nagging, the little shoves, the
Wow.
complete refusal to be bullied by anyone. The source says Murillo is not scared of stepping into midfield and that he doesn't just hoof it.
But sticking to the physical side for just a second longer, why is this aggression specifically important for the squad right now?
Tell me.
Because Liverpool's entire system relies on intimidation. When you play a ridiculously high line, which we will dive into later, you absolutely need the opposition to feel rushed.
Panic him.
Yes. If the opposing striker or midfielder feels like he has time to turn, look up, and pick a pass in behind, then Liverpool is in massive trouble. You need a defender who is breathing down their neck the very moment they receive the ball. That snarl isn't just for show. It fundamentally disrupts the opponent's rhythm.
So it's proactive defending. It's not waiting for the fire to start break. It's stomping out the match before it even lights.
Exactly. It's not, I will block your shot. It's, I will take the ball off you before you even formulate the thought of shooting.
Now, the source also highlights the other side of the coin. He's nasty, but he's also classy. The text says he breaks lines and commits players.
The modern necessities.
Let's unpack what that actually means on a football pitch, because breaking lines is one of those buzzwords that gets thrown around a lot on social media.
Yeah.
But I want to know what it actually looks like for the lads on the grass.
It is a buzzword, you're right. But in this specific context, it means something very tangible. Imagine Murillo has the ball at his feet near his own penalty area. Nottingham Forest, or in this case Liverpool, are trying to build an attack from the back. Right. The opposition is pressing high. They have their forwards and midfielders blocking all the easy passing options.
Usually a defender in that exact spot just passes sideways to his partner.
Yeah.
Or clips it back to the keeper. Safe, boring retention.
Correct. And that is exactly what the opposition wants them to do. It keeps the game entirely in front of them. It's predictable. But a player who commits the opponent does something highly risky.
He carries it.
Yes. Murillo will drive the ball forward. He will actually dribble into the open space directly towards an opposing midfielder.
He's baiting them. He's basically playing a game of chicken with a Premier League midfielder.
Precisely. He dribbles until an opponent has to leave their defensive shape to come and stop him. And if that midfielder steps out to tackle Murillo, guess what happens?
He's just left a massive space behind him.
Exactly. A passing lane instantly opens up to a McAllister or a Szoboszlai. That is what breaking the line means. Murillo creates the structural imbalance simply by carrying the ball. The source calls this massive for how Liverpool wants to build from the back, and they are absolutely bang on.
Because if you have a center back who can literally dribble past the first line of the press, you essentially take 2 or 3 opponents completely out of the game instantly.
It completely changes the mathematical equation on the pitch.
Suddenly, it's not 11 versus 11 anymore. It's Liverpool attacking with a numerical overload just because the center back decided to go on an adventure up the pitch.
And doing that requires immense confidence. Or as the source beautifully puts it, bottle.
You cannot be timid.
You really can't. If you're going to dribble through the midfield of a Premier League team and you lose the ball there, it is almost certainly a guaranteed goal for the other team. You are the last line of defense acting like a number 10.
High risk and extremely high reward. And apparently Murillo has that bottle in absolute spades. I've seen clips of him doing step-overs inside his own penalty box.
It's madness.
It gives me a heart attack just watching it on a screen. But you have to respect the audacity of the lad.
It's that pure Brazilian flair meeting the grueling physicality of the Premier League.
But there's another specific detail in the source that I really want to drill into now. It's the thing that gets the tactical nerds really excited.
We're moving into Section 2 of our deep dive here, the tactical holy grail.
Go on.
He is left-footed.
Ah, the golden ticket of modern defending.
Why is this such a massive deal? The source calls it finding balance at center half and points out that we haven't actually had this specific type of symmetry since the days of a natural left footer playing next to Virgil.
Which has been a while.
Maybe Sacco or Daniel Agger. But come on, is it really that important? Or is this just, as the text says, FIFA talk?
It really isn't.
Is this just about the aesthetic of the squad management screen where you want the little green chemistry link?
I promise you, it is absolutely not just video game logic. It is fundamental biomechanics. And it fundamentally changes the speed at which the entire team can play the game.
Okay, then break down the biomechanics for me. Why can't a world-class, right-footed player just use his left foot or pass with the outside of his boot? Virgil does it all the time, doesn't he? They can do it.
Yeah.
And Virgil is the exception to the rule because, quite frankly, he is a footballing alien. But for 99% of professional defenders, it takes a fraction of a second longer to sort your feet out, and the passing angles are entirely different.
Okay.
Let's visualize the pitch for a second. You are a left-sided center back. You receive the ball from your goalkeeper, Allison. If you are right-footed, your body shape is naturally closed off to the left wing.
Because you're addressing the ball with your strong foot.
Exactly. To pass to the left back, say Andy Robertson is bombing on, you have to pass across your own body.
Okay, I'm picturing it in my head. The swing of the right leg has to go across the standing left foot.
Right. Now think about the physics of that specific pass. Because of the swing of the leg, the ball's trajectory almost always curls inwards. It curls toward the opponent who is pressing you from the center of the pitch.
That sounds incredibly risky. It makes it so much easier for the attacker to just stick a leg out and intercept it.
It is risky. It actively invites central pressure. Now imagine you are left-footed like Murillo. When you receive that exact same pass from Allison, your body is naturally open to the entire field of play.
You don't have to adjust your hips at all.
None. You can see the left back, the left winger, and the diagonal pass into the central midfield all in one panoramic view without turning your hips once. When you pass to the left, the natural swing of your left leg makes the ball curl away from the central pressure and perfectly into the forward stride of the fullback.
So it's about safety, but it's also massively about momentum. The left back doesn't have to check his run or wait for the ball to bend back to him. He can take it fully in stride.
Exactly. It saves vital milliseconds. And as you know, in the Premier League, milliseconds are literally the difference between launching a devastating counterattack and getting tackled on the edge of your own box.
The margins are that fine.
They really are. The source mentions angles and buildup. A left footer can hit that sharp fizzing pass into the left half space. Think of the zones where our number 8s operate so much easier than a right footer can.
Because a right footer has to awkwardly wrap their foot right around the ball to make that exact same angle work.
Correct.
So by having a lefty there, you're basically unlocking an entire third of the pitch that was previously just a bit harder to access quickly. You're kicking the door wide open.
You are. And when you look closely at Liverpool's recent history, finding a partner for Virgil van Dijk has always been about finding someone who complements his specific profile.
Right.
Virgil is right-footed, but he plays on the left. He's brilliant at it, obviously. But having a natural left-footer alongside him, or perhaps even moving Virgil to the right side, though that is a whole different debate for another day, creates a natural symmetry that makes the whole team look so much more fluid.
It's smoother, it's faster, and crucially, it stops the attack from becoming predictable. If you only have right-footers at the back, the opposition knows you're statistically much more likely to pass out to the right side. This keeps them constantly guessing. But speaking of partners and major tactical shifts, the source brings up something absolutely fascinating about the other side of the defense.
The big one.
We really need to talk about Section 3, the Trent Alexander-Arnold factor.
This is the absolute crux of the tactical argument for me. This is where the transfer goes from being a good idea to an essential strategic necessity.
The source is incredibly explicit here. It says, and I quote, "If we're pushing the fullbacks high, especially with Trent stepping into midfield zones."
Which we know is the current obsession.
We know this is the massive trend. We know Trent wants to be the quarterback. He loves wandering into the middle of the park to ping balls around like he's Andrea Pirlo reborn.
And he's got the passing range to do it.
He absolutely does. He is world-class at it. But the source explicitly links this Murillo $51.5 million bid to this specific movement from Trent. It says, you aren't just buying a defender here. You are actively buying insurance.
Think about the massive space that Trent leaves behind when he does that. It's the whole concept of rest defense. When Liverpool is in possession and attacking, Trent steps into the midfield to become a double pivot or even an advanced playmaker.
Which leaves his original position completely vacant.
It leaves the right back zone completely and utterly empty.
A massive gaping hole on the right flank. An absolute highway for opposition wingers to sprint down.
Exactly. If the opposition wins the ball back and launches a counterattack, they will immediately ping the ball into that empty space. And who is expected to be there?
Usually it's Ibu Konate sprinting for his absolute life. And fair play to him, he is ridiculously fast for a big man.
He is excellent at covering it. But if you have a system where both fullbacks might push up, or if the overall structure rotates into a back three in possession, you need center backs who are totally comfortable defending wide channels.
Right.
And this is a very, very specific skill. It is totally different from defending inside your own penalty box.
Because defending in the box is about heading the ball, blocking shots, wrestling with big strikers being strong. It's heavy metal football. Defending wide channels is what? Jazz.
It's about total isolation. It is pure 1 versus 1 in acres of space.
They were fine.
If you are defending a wide channel, you are usually matched up against a tricky winger who is significantly faster and more agile than you are. You have absolutely no cover from a fullback. The sideline is your only friend out there.
The source says you have to shuffle across, engage wingers, and crucially not get spun.
Not getting spun. That is the nightmare scenario for any center half.
It sounds awful.
It is the exact moment a center back lunges in the winger, just flicks the ball past them, and suddenly they're running completely free at goal while the defender is looking the wrong way. It's humiliating on a football pitch.
So you need pace.
Yes. The source specifically highlights that Murillo is quick across the turf. That elite recovery pace is simply non-negotiable if Liverpool wants to continue playing Trent in the midfield areas. You absolutely cannot play a high line with a slow defender in that role. You will get slaughtered on the counter.
So in a funny sort of way, spending 51 million quid on Murillo is actually just spending money to completely unlock Trent. It's paying top dollar for the absolute freedom of your best playmaker.
That is the absolute perfect way to frame it. You are buying structural integrity for the whole squad. You are essentially saying, Trent, go and create absolute chaos in the midfield, mate. We trust this guy Murillo to clean up the mess behind you.
It's like buying a really fast fire engine just so you can safely play with fireworks in the garden.
A very vivid analogy, but highly accurate. It massively reduces the overall risk of the tactical system.
However, this brings us nicely to Section 4 of the source material, the environment gap.
Yeah.
Because while Murillo looks absolute boss at Forest, using the source's exact terminology there is a massive difference between playing at the City Ground and playing at Anfield.
There really is. This is the healthy skepticism section of our deep dive, and it is a very valid concern for you to have as a supporter. We have seen incredibly talented players struggle with this exact jump before.
The source asks directly, is he ready for the pressure of Anfield, the fortress? But more importantly than just the crowd pressure, it contrasts the actual playing styles. At Forest, it says you are under siege. You're defending deep in your own box. At Liverpool, you're defending 40 yards from your own goal with acres of empty grass behind you.
This is genuinely the hardest transition for any professional defender to make in the modern game.
Yep.
At a club like Nottingham Forest, and look, absolute no disrespect to them because they have been fantastic defensively under Nuno, but you are quite often playing in a low block. That means the defensive line is parked very close to your own goalkeeper. You have bodies all around you. Your midfielders are basically sitting in your lap.
Very compact.
Yes. Your main job is to clear crosses, block shots, and just head the ball far away. Everything is happening right in front of your eyes.
So it's totally reactionary. You see the ball, you hit the ball.
Yeah.
You don't have time to overthink the situation. It's pure instinct.
Precisely. It's what we call high-volume defending. You feel constantly involved in the match. You make 10 clearances, 5 blocks, 3 hard tackles. You walk off the pitch feeling like an absolute hero.
Sweating buckets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at Liverpool, it is a completely different sport. You are playing a high line. You are literally standing on the halfway line while your team attacks the opponent's box. There is half a pitch of completely empty grass right behind you. That requires a completely different psychological state.
You're exposed. You're practically naked out there on the halfway line.
You really are, and you have to make massive decisions instantly. Do I drop back to cover the run? Do I step up aggressively to play them offside?
And the margins for error are zero.
If you get it wrong, the striker is clean through on Alisson. There is no safety net of 10 other players packed around you to bail you out. This is exactly why we've seen defenders look world-class at mid-table clubs and then completely crumble mentally at top clubs.
You're thinking of Harry Maguire, aren't you?
Think of Maguire's transition from Leicester to United. At Leicester, they defended deep, and he looked like an absolute titan of a center half. At United, they tried to push the line high, and his lack of pace and agility was ruthlessly exposed every week.
The source actually calls this dynamic, high-risk, high-reward. And it specifically notes that Murillo have the recovery pace, which, as we know, Maguire didn't have. But pace isn't everything, is it? It's the mental side. It's about not falling asleep while the lads are attacking.
It's pure concentration. At Forest, you are constantly active, you are busy. It's quite easy to stay focused when you are literally under siege for 90 minutes. At Liverpool, you might only have to defend for 3 seconds in an entire half, but those 3 seconds determine the result of the match.
There's immense pressure.
You might stand around just watching your team attack for 85 minutes. Can you stay completely switched on for that one single counterattack in the 89th minute? That is the true Anfield pressure.
That's the worry. Can the lad handle the absolute boredom of total dominance?
Yeah.
But the source seems very optimistic about him. It mentions his bottle again. And frankly, if you're 22 years old and playing in the Premier League with that level of aggression, maybe the open space doesn't scare you at all. Maybe you just see it as more room to hunt people down.
And that aggression, that South American nastiness we talked about earlier, really helps here. A truly proactive defender actually likes the high line because it allows them to intercept the ball before it ever becomes a real problem. They desperately want to nip the attack in the bud.
They want to crush it early.
Murillo fits that proactive mold perfectly. He isn't a passive defender who wants to wait and block a shot inside the 6-yard box. He wants to take the ball off you on the halfway line before you even think about shooting.
Let's zoom out a bit now to Section 5. Strategic planning and the price of potential. Because there is a bit of a somber note in the source material that we have to address. It mentions the absolute colossus in the room. Virgil's not getting any younger.
It is the harsh reality we all have to face eventually. Father Time is undefeated, even against Virgil van Dijk.
It physically hurts me to say it out loud. I don't want to imagine a world without Virgil pointing at people and making world-class defending look like a Sunday stroll.
None of us do.
But the source talks deeply about succession planning. You don't buy Virgil van Dijk's replacement the day he actually retires. You buy him 2 years before that happens.
Exactly. You want the overlap period. You desperately want the young player to learn directly from the master every day in training.
Soak up the knowledge?
Yes. You want to integrate them slowly, not just throw them straight into the deep end when the club legend finally leaves. Look at exactly how Liverpool handled the front three transition.
That was masterfully done.
They brought in Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo and Darwin Núñez, while Mo Salah and Sadio Mane and Firmino were still largely there or just beginning to leave. They didn't wait until the cupboard was completely bare to go shopping.
And the source mentions the crucial concept of buying a high-ceiling player before they become, quote-unquote, untouchable. It says we need to make the move before City start flexing their financial muscle.
That is the crucial window of opportunity. Right now, today, Murillo is expensive. 51 million quid is a lot of money. But he is still attainable.
Right.
If he stays and has another stellar season at Forest, or if he moves to a stepping stone club and excels in the Champions League, his price doesn't just go to 60 million. It jumps to 80 million. It goes to 100 million easily.
All right.
We saw this exact trajectory with Josko Virgil. We saw it with Moises Caicedo.
So you essentially have to pay the potential tax right now to avoid paying the superstar tax 2 years later.
Precisely. Liverpool's entire operational model, the Edwards and Hughes model we all know and trust, has always been heavily about identifying value right before it hits its absolute peak. Murillo is on the steep upward curve right now. If you wait to see if he's the real deal, you miss him entirely.
Or you end up in a massive bidding war with Manchester City, which, let's face it, is a war you very rarely win financially.
Exactly.
So let's go back to that specific number one last time.
Yeah.
£51,563,701. The source explicitly poses the question, is that a builder of a deal, or are we slightly overpaying based on potential?
In the context of the current inflated market, 51 million for a 22-year-old Premier League proven left-footed ball-playing Brazilian center back with high recovery pace.
Yeah.
That is absolutely not overpaying. That is simply the going market rate, and you could argue it is perhaps even slightly good value.
Really, 50 million just feels like a massive chunk of cash for a lad who has only really had one massive standout season in English football.
You have to look at what elite defenders cost right now. Harry Maguire was 80 million years ago. Josko Virgil was nearly 80 million recently. Wesley Fofana was around 70 million. Jared Branthwaite at Everton is currently being quoted at 70 million plus.
It's scary money.
It is. But if Murillo is genuinely as good as the underlying data and the eye test suggest, then 51.5 million is a very reasonable entry fee for a top-tier elite talent.
And what about that extra £1 at the end?
As we said, it signals pure precision. It tells me that Liverpool's data science team has calculated his exact value to the football club, factored in every single conceivable variable, and they have arrived at a definitive number that makes absolute sense for the business model.
It's not an emotional bid based on panic.
No, it's a highly calculated one. It's basically Moneyball, but just with a significantly bigger budget.
It's almost quite arrogant in its specificity, isn't it? I love it. Right, so let's try to summarize this deep dive because we've covered an absolute mountain of ground today. We started with a bizarrely specific financial number, but we've ended up talking about the entire future of Liverpool's tactical setup.
The takeaways from the sources are crystal clear. 1, Liverpool desperately needs a left-footed defender for structural balance and passing angles. It's a pure geometry thing that dramatically speeds up the entire team's build-up play.
Check.
2, Murillo brings a very specific skill set, namely elite ball carrying and that South American aggression that the squad currently lacks. He offers something fundamentally different to what Konate and Quansah bring to the pitch. 3, this signing is inextricably linked to Trent Alexander-Arnold. If you genuinely want Trent operating in midfield, you absolutely need a mobile, wide defending center back to cover the massive space he leaves behind. Murillo fits that profile perfectly.
And point 4, it's a massive statement of intent. Stealing a brilliant young player out from under the noses of Arsenal, United, and Chelsea shows serious ambition.
It does.
It tells the fans, and importantly tells the rivals, that Liverpool is still actively hunting at the very top table. We aren't just here to take part, we're here to take over the league again.
And crucially, that they are doing it intelligently. They aren't just throwing oil money at massive names, but they are targeting very specific tactical profiles that solve specific structural problems on the pitch.
The source material actually ends with a brilliant little call to action that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
It talks with that one mate who thinks we don't need another center back.
We all have that one mate.
We do. The one at the pub who says, we have Quansah, we have Gomez, we're completely fine. Why spend 50 million quid?
Because elite depth wins league titles. Reliance on a small core group of players wins you a lot of admiration, but it very rarely wins you major trophies in May. You absolutely need elite competition for places.
You can't just run them into the ground.
You need to be able to rotate Virgil van Dijk without the defensive level immediately dropping off a cliff.
Yeah.
And you need premium insurance against the inevitable injury crises that hit every winter.
So here is the final provocative thought for you listening right now. I want you to really think about this. We've talked heavily about the price. We've talked about the tactical fit. But if this bid is real, if Liverpool actually drops £51,563,701 on Murillo, does this signal that the hybrid experiment is completely over?
That is the ultimate question.
Does this mean Arne Slot and Liverpool are moving toward a permanent tactical shift where Trent Alexander-Arnold is officially a midfielder and the glorious era of the overlapping attacking right back is officially done and dusted?
Is Murillo just a brilliant rotation option, or is he the absolute key that permanently unlocks a brand new formation? Are we actually looking at a permanent back three in possession moving forward?
I want you all to really mull on that. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Would you personally pay £51 million and 1 penny just to achieve pure tactical symmetry in the squad?
I think I definitely would.
There you have it. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive. Let us know what you think of the tactics, the price tag, and the player. And as always,
Trust the process and check the sources.
up the Reds.